Howdy ho. Welcome to the Brinx and Hearse podcast. My name is Ryan McNeill.
Mikey Frieri.
And today we are taking you to a galaxy far, far away.
Once again.
A common discussion on this podcast is Star Wars.
Yes, of course.
Arguably the greatest franchise in cinematic history. Most likely the biggest.
Yes.
And the longevity of it, the fan base, which quite the fan base it is.
Yes, yeah.
Today, we're going to be ranking the Star Wars movies we have seen. We've each seen 10.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Solo.
Not ever seen Solo.
Do you think you'll see Solo someday?
Probably not.
Yeah, me neither.
I never cared about it.
Neither have I. One of my friends said it was like, oh, it was okay. I was like, I still don't care. I don't need to see an okay Star Wars
Why would
movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll kick us off with number 10.
Oh, did we say we're ranking?
Yeah, we're going to rank our top
10. The Brinx, Hearse formula, folks.
Yeah, the BTNH
You know
form.
it. You know it.
Back to formula. This is copyrighted, by the way.
Yes.
My number 10, I got Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Okay. It's my number 9.
Okay.
So say what you will, and I'll also say what I will.
I don't think it's very good.
Neither do I.
I think it is. I'm not a big prequels guy, as this list you will discover. I think it's the dullest of the prequels.
Yeah, I think this thing is like just trash.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, this applies for 2 and 3. Hayden Christensen seems like a nice man.
Yes.
He's not great in these movies, and I think that is more than anybody on George
I think
Lucas.
he's bad in this movie.
You would go as far as say he's bad. Okay. Yeah. I'm not like. Yeah, he is.
Well, no, I just in this movie. I mean.
Oh, okay.
I think he's good in 3.
He's definitely better in 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of this does fall on George Lucas because he's the one obviously directing them, and these are the words he wrote. Because a lot of people talk about, oh, Ewan McGregor's amazing as Obi-Wan. He's very good with what he's given.
Yes.
There's a lot of lines and a lot of moments even he can't save. Episode 2, the whole factory sequence is probably the worst sequence in the mainline trilogies, in my opinion. There's just so little to cling on to. The finale in the big arena thing, visually it's cool. All these Jedi showing up, it's cool, but I just don't really care at that point. The big monsters or whatever. I rewatched them not too long ago. And Obi-Wan's thing where he's kind of a detective trying to figure out what's going on with all these clones. And he goes to the place where it's raining all the time. And he has that little duel with Jango Fett. It was actually a little more fun than I remember.
Yeah.
But it's not interesting.
No.
Anakin goes back to Tatooine, and he kills some sand people. His mother dies, so you understand where some of his rage comes from, but one of the problems with the whole Anakin thing in the prequels is you're supposed to see him be like this great Jedi Knight, this great Jedi warrior. All we ever see him be is just kind of an annoying kind of kid.
Yeah.
And even in 3, you never see him be like, oh, the man, and then he was a fallen hero. He's never really a hero. I don't even really remember how 2 starts.
You know, this thing is so bad that you need to have the whole Clone Wars show in between the two to give these characters some context.
How does the movie start? I don't even remember how Episode 2 starts.
No clue.
Yeah, that goes.
I think one of the first sequences is Obi-Wan going and fighting Jango Fett, though. That's one of the first scenes, couple scenes.
Okay, I really can't remember. But Dooku's in it.
Pretty cool.
He's
Pretty cool
pretty
character
cool.
to be introduced to.
He would have been much better if he was in multiple movies.
I think the last fight between them and Dooku was actually pretty good.
Oh, okay. In the little hangar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine to me. And one thing I can actually compliment about Phantom Menace is there's more real sets and more real environments. This is so much of this feels like a video game. There's so much blue screen in this, and that hangar scene really stands out. And I think Yoda with a lightsaber honestly looks so silly, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Every time he has to do a little flip around.
Yeah.
So, Episode 2, it's pretty trash.
What do you think looks better? CGI Yoda doing flips or puppet Grogu doing flips?
Somehow, some way, CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, Episode 2, not that good. That's the bottom of the barrel for me.
That was my number 9, but my number 10, which I'm going to guess is your number 9, Rise of Skywalker.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
That is all you need to hear. That lets you know everything about the Rise of Skywalker right there. I'm going to say my thoughts on it fairly soon, but there's no better encapsulation of that film than...
What hasn't been said about this thing? I mean, we both think very highly of The Last Jedi. and this just wipes. It just basically retcons everything about The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson had differing thoughts, and neither were letting the other have their way.
Yeah.
And this film shows it at its peak.
Yeah.
I would say,
because I know when JJ came in, he wrote the script for Force Awakens, and then he wrote like an outline of what 8 and 9 would be, and then Rian Johnson showed up and he threw them out.
Yeah,
which I'm like okay with. If you think you can do something better, sure. But Disney shouldn't have let him just throw the drafts out so the trilogy can flow. But yeah, and then it did just retcon everything for the sake of all the fanboys who were complaining about 8.
Yeah, I mean, and this is like one of the 7, good start. 8 was obviously highly divisive. But 9 is the one where people are like, let's just forget this entire trilogy just happened. Which I don't blame them. I think it disserviced both Rey and Kylo, who were great characters, I would say. I think really cool. And I'm excited to see Rey go further. Yeah, this thing just blew. I think the fact that they brought Palpatine back was stupid. The script was just so bad. It's, where there's a line where it's just like somehow Palpatine's back, or where like when the stormtroopers start like flying on jetpacks, like, oh, they fly now.
Oh, that didn't bother me at all, actually.
Oh, that was terrible, dude.
Oh, people complained about that. I was like, oh, that was kind of fun.
Dude, even the actors complained about that line.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, the thing sucked.
Okay.
I'm not gonna waste.
I'm gonna get to that one somewhat soon. My number 9 is Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Which I know you think a little more highly than I. Jar Jar is a bad character. He shows up very early in the film, and he's in almost every scene. There is still some good sowing the seeds of Palpatine and who Sidious is.
Yeah.
Darth Maul is visually a cool character. And everything with the prequel lightsaber fights there's a novelty to them because they're very fast-paced and it's like a dance, but they never feel like they're actually swinging at each other.
Okay.
They're clearly going to meet in the middle.
Yeah. It's very choreographed.
Yes, which is impressive to watch and cool in its own right, which is one thing that is great about that last fight. But Phantom Menace, it just doesn't do it for me. Just little Anakin, I think, is... Jake Lloyd, again, he did everything George Lucas told him to do. I'm not going to get on a kid actor. But they just don't make Anakin that interesting to begin with. Pod racing is cool.
It's a child, dude.
Yeah, but like still, like I'm not like, I don't know. He should have just been like 12 years old.
Okay.
He didn't have to be 7 or whatever he is in the movie.
All right, I understand.
And especially because there's going to be a romance with him and Padme. Why weren't they just the same age in this movie? And throughout.
That's a good point. They did.
That always
there was
bothered
no
me.
reason for them to be different ages.
Yeah, because I think she was like 16, I think, when the movie came out. Anakin's like 8 or 9 years old or whatever. And then, so even when you jump 10 years, there's still an age gap there that always seems strange. But the other thing with episode 2 is the Anakin Padme romance is just, there's just nothing there.
Yeah,
it's just a black hole. But Phantom Menace, it just doesn't. It just, Qui-Gon is stern and he's very stoic. Obi-Wan is stern and he's very stoic. Mace Windu is stern and he's very stoic. None of the Jedis have really personalities. I know they're supposed to be like monks, but still, could they be a little different from each other in any way? Especially with the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan thing. It's like, this is just the same guy. One's a little older.
Yeah.
It's not like Obi-Wan's like this rogue kid. No. He's still like a Jedi who knows his stuff. So
okay.
Phantom Menace doesn't do it for me.
Same complaints. What are we on, number 8 now?
Number 8, yes.
My number 8 is Force Awakens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine, but I think it starts, obviously it starts the bad trilogy, but it starts the cycle of who's connected to who? What's connected to what? It is a clear carbon copy of A New Hope.
I know those. Yeah, and it bothers me too. And I know it bothers you more, though, the similarities to A New Hope.
Yeah, everything needs to be the same thing, same character traits and stuff. And then, it tries to play into, or who's the son of, it tries to play into that whole Luke, I'm your father kind of thing. Or no, I'm your father, whatever it says. where it's like who's Ben Solo is or Kylo is this guy's son, is Han Solo's son. Kind of a reveal that they have.
Yeah.
Who is Rey connected to? It's just so goddamn annoying, and it tries to a lot of the tropes where there was Palpatine, now there's Snoke. I thought Snoke was cool. Obviously they butchered his character in the end.
I don't necessarily believe that, but I don't think they butchered his character personally, but
okay. I thought he was cool, but he did not need to be in it. They could have done it a little differently, which is why I gave credit to The Last Jedi. It tried to break the mold.
That is a fair point, actually, that Snoke didn't have to exist. Kylo could have just been the man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fair point, actually, yeah.
And it's kind of just, it discredits everything that the original trilogy did, where, like the battle against evil was won, the Empire was no more, it's time for the New Republic, and then the New Republic basically didn't exist in this movie, and it was just the First Order and the Resistance. It basically seemed like the First Order was running everything again.
Yeah, I can understand that criticism. I remember people said it when the movie came out, even when the response was overwhelmingly positive, that people were like, okay, where did this new empire come from exactly?
Yeah.
Which I can understand, but, like a full-on empire, too. It wasn't just like an upstart thing or a couple bad guys here. It's like they were running things from what everybody understands. So, yeah, I'll have more thoughts about that guy later. My number 8, I have Rise of Skywalker. I have it above 1 and 2 because I can agree with people who say that the prequels do more for the lore. That's just a fact. And that it flows much better in the prequels. 100% true. But I can sit down and watch one of the sequels and enjoy it.
Okay.
I cannot do that with 1 and 2. I can watch Rise of Skywalker, and there are things that frustrate me, obviously, and it doesn't flow with 7 and 8, but I can still have a good time.
All right.
I think most of the Rey and Kylo stuff still tracks, start to finish, in this movie. Finn is obviously the most done dirty character in probably all of Star Wars ever. Poe Dameron too. He was going to be like a really cool character in 7, and then nothing really much came of him after that. But yeah, the dumbest thing was the Palpatine thing, and it all just kind of became. I like Ben Solo coming to the Jedi side, and he saw the error of his ways. I love the healing stuff. I thought that all that was cool. It's obviously just, it doesn't hit you in all the right places. And I remember thinking when I watched the movie, and there's the part where she's fighting Palpatine, which obviously is incredibly stupid that they brought him back with no explanation at all. They were like, oh, it had something to do with clones and shit. It's like, okay, I need something more. If they just brought back Plagueis, I would have been fine.
Yeah, that would have been so fucking
people
cool.
would have been much more into that. But when Rey is fighting him or whatever and has the lightsaber, and she hears all the voices of the Jedi, she hears Anakin's voice.
Yeah, that's a really cool
Mace
scene.
Windu's, and like I remember sitting there going, like, this is really cool and everything. But like that should have been so much bigger if the trilogy tracked. Like that would have been so much bigger than Endgame, than Endgame's I Am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is just naturally bigger. But the trilogy just didn't make sense start to finish. I can still watch it and enjoy it though. I still have fun. Still got Babu Frick. It still got some comedy that I like. I still have a lot of fun with this movie.
Also, although this is the bottom of my list, I am for Rey Skywalker.
What do you mean? Like at the end when she says her name is Skywalker?
Yeah, people hated that.
Yeah, I was like, I was fine with it. She was trained by Luke, and
she had nowhere to go. She had no home. She was trained by him.
The thing where you said about everybody being connected, it obviously bothered me a lot when they made her Palpatine for absolutely no reason.
Yes, I completely forgot about that, dude.
Because before we won't spoil too much on our Last Jedi thoughts, but one thing I loved about The Last Jedi is when they go like, "You're nobody. Your parents were nobodies." I was like, that is so refreshing, because Jedis they're not like, oh, they're the kids of Jedis. No, they're just born. So I loved that she was just nobody, and it was just she just has this power and she has this destiny.
Yeah.
So that really bothered me. All the Palpatine stuff bothered me.
Yeah.
I still like Rey as a character, and like I said, I'm excited to see where she goes further.
So tell me how you don't think Snoke was butchered. I don't think he's butchered in The Last Jedi. I think he was used very well in The Last Jedi, but I think he was disserviced in Rise of Skywalker when he was just a clone. He was
I see what you mean.
In The Last Jedi, I thought he was very useful to Kylo's growth.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I agree with you there.
Okay.
I thought you were saying that
That's
his
what
death.
I
I
thought.
thought you were saying his death in Last Jedi was done
No,
dirty.
no, no, no,
Okay,
no, no.
we agree with that. I can understand where you're coming from. That you think that him being a clone kind of is a disservice. The fact Palpatine is just the puppet master for all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I can understand that being a problem for you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I definitely get that.
And because, what again, a reason why I don't like Rise of Skywalker is after Last Jedi, it's set. You kind of get an expectation of what the next one's gonna be. Like, all right, Kylo's gonna be like the main guy. You know, Rey needs to like talk and whatever. But then they just throw in Palpatine for no fucking reason.
I think it was an untenable situation between 8 and 9 because 8 ends and it is not setting you up for a big finale. 8 ends.
They could have done 4 movies for this.
I was just about to say 8 feels like part 2 of 4 or part 2 of 5.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like, we just hit the stepping stone to the final chapter. It's like, no, there's still a lot that has to be resolved.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much stuff that's rushed. That's why they just threw Palpatine in there so they can explain certain different things. That's why it's a mess. But, I mean, it's still 8 of 10 for me. I don't think that highly of it. But
yeah.
I like it more than a lot of people who cry about it. So
Okay.
that's my number 8. What's your number 7?
My number 7's Phantom Menace.
Okay.
This does hold a special place in my heart. I loved this movie as a kid. I thought it was just so much fun. Because obviously, as a kid, you don't really understand bad movies. You know,
everything.
Whatever was the most recent movie you saw was your favorite movie when you were a kid. I thought the Darth Maul stuff was so cool. The final fight was just something that I would turn on the movie just to watch that with the music going and the entire fighting sequence between Obi-Wan and
music goes without saying for each and every one of these movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Obi-Wan is hanging on and then he finally jumps up and gets him. I love that stuff. And to Jar Jar Binks, I don't think he's a bad character.
Really?
Don't think he was he wasn't necessary whatsoever for the movie, for either movie, except for convincing to give the Senate to give the Chancellor emergency powers, whatever.
And he gets all the Gungans for the final battle.
Yeah, that's right.
In that field that looks like the Windows loading screen.
They could have done stuff without him. I think he was refreshing to the lore. He was obviously used to expand upon, because obviously you got this whole galaxy that you want to talk about. There's got to be, you're gonna have some characters. You're gonna have some aliens.
Yes. And the technology,
goofy guys and whatever, and
the technology at this point also allowed you to do anything.
It was a cool way to expand the universe. That's how they used him, I think.
Well, I don't really respect him that much as a character. I will say it was the first time, I think, pretty much in any movie that there was a fully CGI character. And it set a precedent for how you do that, because he wasn't entirely motion capture, I don't believe, but they had a guy on set kind of with a thing on his head to kind of give reference and everything. So it was very groundbreaking in that respect for Jar Jar Binks. He's an important character for many reasons. But Phantom Menace, it's Padme as well throughout all 3 movies. I don't think it's that interesting.
No.
Yeah.
In fact, I think in 3 she's like a complete asshole.
I don't know. What does she do in 3?
She basically knows that Anakin is like, going against the Jedi Order or whatever and stuff like that, and like obviously committing like crimes. And she's like either 1, doesn't care, or 2, like kind of helping him.
The Jedi are kind of assholes though.
Yeah, but light and dark. He's going to the dark.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I see the. We shouldn't talk about this right now.
Okay. All right,
it's 2 places up for me.
My number 7, right?
Yeah, you're number 7.
Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
continue.
Okay. Shit. Where was I? I'll just. Fuck. Well, you tell me. Tell me.
It's the best prequel for sure, just because it has some finality to it. It starts out with a fun sequence when they're going into to kill Dooku or whatever, or rescue Palpatine more so. And it has the most Palpatine stuff. Palpatine's probably the best part of all 3 movies. He's hamming it up a little bit at points, but it's refreshing when everybody else is very wooden and down low. Yes. No. I love he says it before he's even burned. Yeah. Before he has any right to sound like that. No.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was this evil coming out.
It was his evil. Yes. We get to see the lightning hands. I think Anakin's turn is too quickly, and he gets turned down from promotion. He's like, well, now I got to kill all of you. So I think it happens with the snap of fingers, but it's still something refreshing to see.
It's I do remember watching it and like almost like even though I know like rewatching it, I'm like I know obviously he's gonna become Darth Vader, but his switch to the dark side is so abrupt where I'm like the entire time I'm like I can see like I'm almost like come on Anakin, don't make those decisions, like but obviously I know he's going to.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense his switch over. And this is my number 5. I'll just say right there.
Okay,
and there. I mean, we still got our 6s, but this is my number 5. I do think Hayden Christensen. Yeah. I think he's really good in this. Actually, kind of like a he's still very green, but he has a different perspective than the Jedi, and I think he kind of captures it pretty well. He's like a little bratty and.
Yeah.
A little sassy and,
One thing I always loved is that he becomes Darth Vader before the suit and everything.
Yeah.
It's just when he turns to the dark side and he kneels before Palpatine, he gives him that name.
Yeah.
I wish we could get a little explanation as to where the name come from or what it means.
But I think the Sith just kind of think of cool things.
They just think of cool shit to say and they name it.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the fight on Mustafar? Because it's visually very cool. I think it lasts very, very long, though.
It's all the praises. I think it's the best fight in the entire series.
Wow.
It's the whole build up, like it's the finale. Like let's agree. Like Obi-Wan is probably the best part of this thing.
Yeah.
And that scene at the end where he's talking to him. He's like, you were my brother. You were supposed to destroy the Sith.
That's the best acting in the prequel.
So heartbreaking, and I think it like the payoff of everything to this fight. The payoff is so great. I think it's such a cool fight. And you can just tell like the emotions. You can tell they don't want to fight. They don't really want to fight each other, but they kind of have to because Anakin's being a little unreasonable, and they're not seeing eye to eye anymore.
Just a little unreasonable.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Do you believe the funniest joke in Star Wars, the funniest moment, let's say, because is when Anakin ignites his lightsaber in front of the younglings?
A joke? What?
I mean, it's the hardest I laugh at a Star Wars movie. Master Skywalker, what will we do?
It's a little it's a little comedic in the ways like, why the fuck did he do that? I mean, obviously we know why, to kill the Jedi, but like, why did they include it?
Yeah.
Killing all the Tusken Raiders, whatever,
And I see why he did it.
Yes.
He's filled with rage. He just saw his mother die. So I get that. But another thing was, like, we never see him like be like that, like much of like, a hero and stuff, and he's a true Jedi. Like the darkness is there. The signs are so early that this guy is a troubled person.
Yeah, I mean, in like when he kills the Tusken Raiders, like you see like the dark side comes out from rage, and he's like a ticking time bomb with him in the conflict between Mace Windu.
Yeah,
one of the main. But once Palpatine kind of manipulates him, his dark-sided actions are not of rage; they're just of idiocy. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, idiocy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like why? It's just like there's no explanation to them. Yeah, I don't know.
I just thought of one more Phantom Menace thought.
Very overrated, the movie. Can we say that?
Yes, I agree with that. Some people are like, "Oh, it's in a class with the original trilogy." Or some people, it's like their favorite Star Wars movie. I'm like,
it's so
bump the brakes there.
It's so poorly done, but the story is quite good. I mean, obviously,
we like it because it's better than the other
yes.
two. That doesn't make it great.
Number 2 does not set up a thing for this movie.
I agree with that. I think the time jumps in between don't help either.
No,
there's
that's
10
true.
years in between 1 and 2, and then I think it's supposed to be a few years in between 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's got hair and the scar.
Well, it was after the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't know how long that lasted, but
I'm sure
it must have been significant, though. Yeah. But yeah, my one more Phantom Menace thought. People obviously complain about Force Awakens being too similar to A New Hope, and understandably too. But Episode 1 is about a kid on a desert planet who they're like, oh, he's a real Jedi. And then he gets on a ship at the end, and he blows up a circular spaceship. And that's the end of his destiny, while a couple other people are having a lightsaber fight, and then the old master dies in the lightsaber fight. And George Lucas said himself, "Oh, it's like poetry; it rhymes with each other." But that one, like that bothers me not as much as Force Awakens, probably, but it still gets under my skin just a teensy bit.
Also, I forgot to mention your complaints with Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon was actually pretty good. Most Jedi have, kind of issues with the Order, except for like Yoda. Yoda kind of. Yoda has his doubts or whatever. But Qui-Gon is very, very devout, which I think is very cool.
Okay. He's the most Jesuit-like. I
Yes,
suppose.
yes.
All right. I think we're on to my number 6,
Yeah,
correct?
number 6.
My number 6 is Rogue One.
Also my number 6.
Okay. It's a really cool movie.
I thought it was. I had to say, outside of, I think I said this last episode or unpopular opinion episodes. I think outside the originals and Revenge of the Sith. This is its best new movie besides Last Jedi.
Oh, but the best Disney-owned Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Okay. I can understand that. Yeah. All the characters are like just good enough. They each have a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Andor's cool. Jyn is very committed. She's the main one. She gets the most screen time. There's the blind dude who might be force sensitive.
Yeah, he's cool.
There's his friend who has a big gun.
I don't think the blind dude's force sensitive.
I think he was supposed to be a little force sensitive.
I think he just
You think he was just that good?
I think he just believes he was, and it was, I don't know.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
If you believe you're force sensitive, is that just as good?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool. And it was a movie that was made to literally fill a plot hole from a 40-plus-year-old movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But it works. It gives you a good explanation, like, why is there this
Yeah.
this hole that will literally blow up your space station? It's like, oh, Galen or so, the father, he was like, I can find a way to tear this shit down without sacrificing my family, without sacrificing everything.
Yeah.
I know there were a lot of reshoots in this one that there's kind of some strange editing and a few inconsistencies. I feel like there's scenes missing here and there, but overall it's really good. I like the droid in it too, K2SO.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Yeah.
I think also the ending is like, whoa, what the when like everyone just blows up basically.
Oh, everyone dies. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the scene,
Which is refreshing. That it's
yeah.
We're not leaving the door open.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's
they were just, the characters were just to serve they served one purpose and one purpose only, and that is for the plans.
And and that makes the journey and the plans like all the more like meaningful that they went on this journey. It's like they all sacrificed their lives for it.
And without it,
it adds the weight to it.
Empire would never have been really, brought down.
Yeah. And oh crap, what was I just thinking? I think Krennic is a good villain and everything. I think the CGI Moff Tarkin looked good too.
Yeah,
I thought that looked really good. The
also,
Carrie Fisher one was whatever.
Yeah.
It's for like 5 seconds.
The Darth Vader stuff was really cool at the end.
Yeah, the Vader scene
end
especially.
Where it's like the beginning of New Hope.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, and how it tracks directly into A New Hope. Like it's the perfect entry. I'm a big order release guy, but it would be kind of cool to watch Rogue One and then the original trilogy.
I told you. Yeah. Chronological is kind of the way to go.
All right, that's a number 6. What do you got for number 5?
Number 5 I said was
Revenge of the Sith. All right, we talked about it enough. Probably.
Yeah, you're number 5.
I got Force Awakens.
Okay.
The similarities to A New Hope bother me. I think it's the most pure fun, maybe of any Star Wars movie.
It's a lot of fun. I'll give you that.
Start to finish, a lot of jokes. It keeps moving. It's fast. I think Rey is maybe her best character in this movie because she's new, she's green, she's discovering all these things, but she obviously has a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember people complaining about how like she held her own against Kylo in the lightsaber fight and basically won. He ended up getting cut, and she was the one standing. And people were like, "Oh, Kylo's been training." It's like Kylo's unfocused. Kylo has a lot of rage.
Yeah,
it makes sense why Rey, who hasn't really unlocked her powers, can hold her own though.
And she's also force sensitive, so
Yeah,
anything could happen.
Yeah, I can believe it. Finn, good in this movie, kind of done dirty further on.
I thought he was so cool in this movie. Actually,
Let
me say that. The stormtrooper who
defects.
Yeah,
yeah,
who went against the order, whatever.
Yeah, and it's just a great opening scene where they're all firing, and he just lowers his gun, and that tells you everything you need to know.
And it could be cool because the reason why he was defective, a defective stormtrooper, was because maybe just because he was force sensitive.
Yeah, I think that was something that they kind of implied.
They could have explored that
in 9 that he was force sensitive.
Rest in peace, Finn.
Yeah, we love you, Finn. But yeah, I really like Force Awakens. I can watch that one whenever, and it's got Han Solo in it. I mean, come on.
I think what a big issue with this one too is that it's too caught up in paying homage to the originals.
Yeah, which was something the good and the bad with a guy like J.J. Abrams. It's like he knows Star Wars. He loves Star Wars. He knows what people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so familiar with it to the point that he might just do what he has seen work before, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
We've talked about with like Christopher Nolan doing Batman, where I don't think Christopher Nolan was up night after night reading comics and watching all the old Batman movies. I think he was a fan. He like knew the source material, but he wasn't so in love with it that he was unwilling to do something different than what had been done before. I think that's like the good and bad with a guy like JJ.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the movie a lot. And friggin' what's his face? General Hux. They had all 3 movies. Never really, again, like Finn, like they set him up in a good spot, but then they never do anything with him really. So I guess that's one last complaint for that one. Your number 5 was Revenge of the Sith. So now we're on to 4. What do you have at your number 4?
My number 4 is this might lead to a huge discussion, and that's The Last Jedi.
Yeah, same here. No discussion here. No controversy. No controversy.
No.
We really like The Last Jedi.
Yeah. And I think what I like the most about it is it tried to do something different with what it was given, you know? Like I said, it set up like Kylo instead of like the you know, you got your bad with Darth Vader and then you got your bigger bad with Palpatine. You got Kylo and then you got Snoke, but it's like, you know what, let's wipe Snoke. Snoke was just a device for Kylo to kind of come into his true self.
Yeah. And Vader killed Palpatine at the end, but that was like the culmination.
Yeah.
This was a stepping stone for Kylo, who's still young, who still hasn't risen through the ranks really to the level that Vader ever did. So for that throne room scene, especially, probably the best scene in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, really
by
good.
far. Fantastic. And just all the tension of it, and you see the lightsaber explode. Last Jedi is, it's so good.
And I also think this is the best
so
back and forth between Rey and Kylo.
Yes,
where
I love all those conversations.
They aren't, you know, fully on each other's team. They still have like resentment towards each other, but they kind of are there to help each other a little bit.
Yeah, I love how they talk because they're obviously, I mean, they're on different sides. They know they've already fought at this point, but they're talking about, why are you like this? Why are you doing this? They're not like, man, fuck you.
Yeah.
They're like, what's going on up there, buddy?
Fuck you.
Yeah. And there's a great sequence where like Luke walks into the little hut that Rey is in, and he sees her and Kylo, like just like almost like they do the thing where like almost touching hands and talking with each other. I love all those conversations. I think everything with Poe and like, oh, he's not following orders and they're trying to do this with the fleet, that stuff drags, in my opinion. Yeah. That's probably the weakest part of the movie. And we talked about it last week as well. I really like all the stuff on Canto Bight. I think it's fun.
I don't necessarily really like it. I just think it was, you know, it didn't damage the movie as much as people thought it did.
It doesn't affect your score.
No.
Okay. And I love the finale too. When Luke comes face to face with Kylo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we can't talk about Last Jedi without talking about Luke.
Yes.
So what were your thoughts on Hermit Luke?
A lot of people hate it. They're like, that's not Luke. This is Luke. This is how they wrote him.
It made so much sense.
It made so much sense why he's like this. And I love all the backstory they give. Is he senses all this evil in Kylo while he's training him, and he like ignites his lightsaber, and then he immediately regrets it, which is like Luke. But then Kylo like crashed the house, and then the temple gets burned down, and Luke is like, he's so ashamed, he goes into hiding.
Yeah. Which
makes a lot of sense. And so now he's this curmudgeon. He doesn't care about the Force. He doesn't care about Jedi. He's like, it's a lost cause. And for him to say, like, the Jedi have to end, and he doesn't want anything to do with Rey, and then he begrudgingly says, like, okay, if you really think you can, if you know these people, like, because I think his turning point was when he went on the Falcon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love everything about Luke in this movie, and for him to come face to face with Kylo at the end. And when I first watched the movie, I knew he was a Force ghost right away. Did you think he was a Force ghost?
No, I thought he just cleaned up.
Okay, that was the thing. I saw him with the darker beard and the darker hair. I was like, he's definitely a Force ghost.
Oh, I had no idea.
Okay, but it
was a cool
different
reveal.
ways to do it. Oh yeah, it was such a cool reveal. And when Kylo just puts the lightsaber right through him, it's just so good that he still haunts Kylo in a way. Yeah, Last Jedi's great, and the best visuals, maybe of any Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
Also, a pretty cool poster.
The poster on Letterboxd is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I love The Last Jedi. I converted Mikey to The Last Jedi a couple years ago.
Yep.
and that's why it's our number 4 on the list.
Yep.
And now number 3, we're entering original trilogies.
That's right.
Original
I guess we both
trilogy
have
territory.
original
Excuse me.
trilogies top 3.
Yep, nothing's really topped them yet.
No.
What they did between 77 and 83. My number 3, I have Return of the Jedi.
That's my number 2.
Okay.
My number 3 is Empire, but
Okay. We'll okay. Okay.
I probably shouldn't have said
No,
that.
you shouldn't. So Return of the Jedi, Mike. It's as good of a finale, I think, of any trilogy I've seen, I feel, honestly.
Yeah, I just think it's compared to the other 2 originals, it's the most fun for me.
Definitely, too. That's why I liked it the most as a kid, is
Mhm.
it's the most just pure fun. Unfiltered, just start to finish. It's just new stuff, and like it definitely deals with deeper stuff towards the end with Luke and Vader's lightsaber fight. But I like Ewoks. Everything in Jabba's palace is cool, and when they break out, it's an awesome sequence. There's loads of action in it. Return of the Jedi is great.
Yeah. I mean, I think the final fight with him and Vader is definitely the best fight in the originals. But I think maybe the best fight, one of the best at least, top 3, top 2, top 1, who knows, of the entire series.
The entire series for me is the 2 Luke Vader fights between Empire and Jedi.
I like the Return of Jedi better.
They're close.
Because you could see Luke really like kind of almost breaking
Yeah.
and like going to the edge to kind of when he's like kind of just like, boom, you know,
Yeah.
he's like just throwing haymakers on him.
Yeah, in Empire, he's not up to the task. He left his
Yeah.
training early.
Mhm.
He's very emotional still.
And he has like this realization, like, this is my father. Like, I want to try to like delegate with him a little bit.
Yeah,
I
that's
still
true.
see the good in him.
That's true. That's another layer that makes
Yeah.
that fight interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the Emperor extensively in this one.
Yes.
And he was built up in Empire. We see the quick sequence of him on the hologram that Vader talks to.
Yeah.
But what do you think of Ewoks? Do you have a problem with Ewoks?
I think they're a lot of fun.
I think they were too.
Again, like my argument with Jar Jar, it was just a way to expand the universe.
Okay, on the forest moon of Endor. And a lot of people are like, oh, how did they take out this sophisticated army or whatever? George Lucas said himself he was thinking about the Vietnam War and how,
Like the Viet Cong.
yeah, the Viet Cong with very little beat the biggest military in the world with the U.S.
Yeah.
So it reflects real life.
Mm-hmm.
Art imitates life.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also really enjoy the Ewoks. And
Yeah.
if I had one complaint, it takes a little while for it to get going, I feel, but it's more so building tension and getting you excited. It's not annoying like how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jabba's Palace stuff, it takes a while for you to get to them breaking out and for Luke to jumping off the board.
Yeah.
And Han's blind, which is funny, I always thought, because there's a point where he's hanging and he has to like shoot the thing off of Lando's leg.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, I thought you were blind. Oh, I can see a lot better now.
And
It also has one of my favorite underrated funny lines where they're on like the thing flying out to be executed.
mm-hmm.
And they're on Tatooine and Luke goes, I was born here. And Han goes, you're going to die here. Convenient.
Yeah, I think that entire scene was really good too. I forgot all about that.
All right, now you hit me with your number 3.
My number 3 is Empire.
Okay.
You know, I could very much so interchange Return of the Jedi and Empire, and I get why everyone has this as their number 1. I get it,
Mhm.
and I think this is their best. This is Star Wars' best movie, objectively.
Okay. It's not your favorite, though.
Not my favorite, because
There's a difference.
Into that later, but I think Return of the Jedi is much more fun. You have your, I mean, this might be the most iconic Star Wars movie too, with just the whole "No, I am your father," whatever. I can't say much more than what's already been said. It's really fucking good. And I think Hoth was really cool.
Hall's an awesome setting.
Yeah. And
again, it's an adventure.
Yes.
You go from Hoth, then they split up.
Dagobah.
See
Yes,
Dagobah.
they split up.
And then Han and
Cloud
Leia
City.
are just on the Falcon for most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just trying to evade the Empire, going in and out of asteroids. And their romance is good too. That's
Yes,
a romance done
yes.
properly in this one as opposed to episode 2.
I think like the entire training sequence. Another thing, training
Mm.
sequences I always love. The training sequence with him and Yoda, super cool.
It builds up Yoda so well too. Because they first think he's
definitely.
just kind of like a crazy little guy because he's just trying to kind of get Luke out of here.
Yeah.
But then you just see him raise the X-wing out of the swamp just with his little green hand. Then he sets it down, and Luke goes, "I don't believe it." He goes, "That is where you fail." So little maxims from Yoda are so good, and you actually feel like he's gaining progress.
Yeah.
You see him fail, and then he does something, and then the rocks fall, and then he's upside down. But you feel like, oh, he's moving forward. He wasn't able to do these things. Now he can do these things because he's with Yoda. And Yoda's obviously teaching him just wisdom throughout, let alone force training stuff.
Yeah.
So, number 2, what do you have? That was your Jedi, right?
That was Jedi. One thing I need to say, I forgot to say about Jedi was, I love the fact like you could tell like the change between Luke from Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
He's much more experienced.
He's a stoic Jedi.
Yeah.
Who is wearing all black.
And he's very much a threat now.
Yes. He feels dangerous at that point. And I'll talk about Empire. Empire is my number 1. But then we'll talk about the last movie. If you can guess what it is, we'll end with that one.
That's your number 2?
Yeah, that'll be my number 2. So we'll lead into that number 1. So I think Empire is the best one. That's my number 1. Like you said, it's iconic. Cloud City is also another cool setting, which I forgot about to mention. Lando's a very cool character. And Lando also, like, he double-crossed them. So he's, like, not a great guy, but it's like he felt like it's something I had to do.
Yeah, he was very much like Han Solo, obviously. I mean, they knew each other. But,
they're good guys, but they don't have the strongest spines.
Yeah. They just both kind of went in different directions morally.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And this one ends in a way that you can really take it anywhere. They're just looking out at the window at the end. Han Solo's frozen in carbonite because they weren't sure if Harrison Ford was going to come back. They could have just killed him. But it culminates a lot of things very well. When he goes into the carbonite, Leia says, "I love you." He says, "I know." Luke, you feel as like he's been through a lot in this movie. Because in the first one, he goes from like being a nobody, and then he flies a plane, but he's still very green. Like him as a character hasn't changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's a little more worn, but he's not that different a guy. Empire, he goes through so much from start to finish.
Yeah, and I think from New Hope to Empire to Return of the Jedi, each nuance to Luke's personality and growth makes sense.
Yeah.
From Empire to Jedi, he went through so much. He's not this farmer anymore. He's a full-on Jedi.
Yeah.
He knows his duties, and he learned all that from Empire. He learned about he finally realized the true threat. What damage really the Empire can really do. He's conflicted now with his father being Vader. Empire sets up perfectly. Does Return of the Jedi flawlessly send it home? No.
Yeah, because it's not as good as Empire.
Yeah.
But it still gets the job done. I also think Vader's probably at his best in Empire.
I agree.
The suit looks so much better than it did in A New Hope. It's the first time we see when he's in like that chamber and you see the helmet go down on him. It's the first time you see like, oh, he's human. He's not. We don't because we didn't know what was under there before. So you see he's human, and he also that's the thing where it's like 3 different guys like don't get the job done, and you just see him kill him.
Yeah,
where he strangles them.
And also, like I said with Luke across the 3, Vader across the 3 is done so well because Vader he has 7 minutes of screen time on A New Hope. He's just very mysterious. You're just scared of him really the entire time.
Tarkin is the main villain.
Yeah,
in the first one.
Empire, you obviously dive so much more into him. You see how much of an evil guy he is. You see that he's somewhat human. And then Return of the Jedi, you see how human he really can be. So instead of Luke toughens up, Vader softens.
That's a good way to put it. And they meet in the middle.
Yes.
So now we go to my number 2, your number 1, the movie that started it all, Star Wars.
Yep. Can't say much.
You can't say much. It's the perfect blockbuster.
Yeah, I can see people saying it maybe,
It starts slow. That's all I can say.
It
about
drags just a little bit.
Yeah.
I understand, but I think it's the most poetic. I think it's just, I don't know.
Name a bad scene in A New Hope. There isn't one.
Well, I can't.
You can't. You can't. Even the trash compactor scene, which
Yeah.
serves really no purpose, is so much fun.
It's just so much fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
And it just adds to their journey.
Yeah.
And most of the movies on the Death Star when they're just kind of sneaking around, which is just an inherently fun idea too.
Yeah, and I think all the stuff on Tatooine is so cool.
And you get him as being a kid who just like, I just want to fucking leave.
Yeah. And he finally gets that adventure that he wants.
And his aunt and uncle have good reason for him staying, though.
Yeah, of course. It's at my number one, but I can't really say much. It's just so good.
Yeah. It's just so good start to finish. And, I mean, Han Solo immediately is probably one of the coolest characters.
Oh, yes. One of the best introductions to a character, I think.
Same with Obi-Wan, honestly.
Yeah.
He's very mysterious, and he comes up.
What's that line where he goes, "Oh, I'm looking for
Oh, yeah.
Ben Kenobi.
Do you know him? Oh, yes, I do. He's me.
He's
or something like
he's
that.
hysterical,
Yeah.
and he's like mysterious, and
I love when he kills the man, or no, he just cuts the arm off.
Oh,
of the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
in the cantina. Just further develops like, oh, this dude can throw down.
yeah. I like how they set up like the story of Luke's dad, where like he's in adversity. I think Lucas didn't know that he wanted Vader to be the father at the first movie. I'm pretty sure that's a fact.
There's a lot of blurred lines about. Some people say like, oh, he planned everything out. It's like he didn't plan everything out. He had him kiss his sister in the second movie.
But the way they told the story of Luke's father, when Ben was telling him the story, it was very open ended. Where it can be very manipulated to say like, yeah, Anakin Skywalker was killed.
Yeah. Do they say the name Anakin in the first movie? I don't know.
I think they do.
I can't remember if they do. I know in the second one they do because Palpatine, when he's on the hologram, tells Vader, he was like, "Oh, this boy is the son of Anakin Skywalker," and you still don't. You're just like, "Oh, you don't know who that is still." So it's like, "Oh, you don't know who this Anakin
I think it's so
is.
funny in that scene too, because it doesn't like Palpatine like say like, "Oh, he's dead to you," like don't or whatever, and then I'm like, "Why the fuck did you bring it up then?"
Yeah. But I mean, the first one's perfect. Like I said, the one thing I guess I could say is that the first half hour is just R2 and C3PO kind of trotting around.
I think it's fun.
It's still good. It's still fun, but it doesn't, like if you're watching Star Wars for the first time.
Yes, that's very true.
It's not the smoothest entry point.
Yeah,
I guess is what I could say. But I mean, the assault on the Death Star, it still looks good. It's still fun. The trench run is still amazing, and he loses. I mean, most of the guys in the fleet die.
Yeah.
Too. It's just Wedge or whoever makes it out. Because what was his name? Biggs, I think, right?
I don't fucking
Who died? It was the dude with the mustache.
Yeah, I think Biggs is right.
But yeah. I mean, the one that started all it's still maybe the most iconic for a reason. And that formula has been repeated for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless Star Wars. Thank God for it.
Most of the time.
Even with bad movies, I'm glad it's there.
That's a good way to put it. Even throughout all the good and the bad, it's like a sports team almost.
Yeah.
You follow them, and no matter how good or bad they do,
good seasons, bad seasons, you always stick around.
Yeah, it's just nice that you have them there.
Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. People are still sticking around.
Yes, and I have doubts about recent Star Wars movies, but I'm sticking around.
Yeah,
even through season 3 of Mandalorian.
Yeah. Actually, I think we should say for the record, we both didn't mind the finale of season 3 Mandalorian.
The last 2 episodes of season 3 might have been the best 2 episodes of the season.
And I actually enjoyed. Ryan was surprised how much I enjoyed the Jack Black Lizzo episode.
Yeah, and I didn't I don't think it's like this fundamentally horrible episode. It was just another filler episode in a season that felt like it was full of filler episodes.
Yeah, I think it was a fun buddy cop thing with Din and Darksaber lady.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, the current date is April 26th. What's happening in 8 days?
Oh, May 4th.
And may the Force be with you, Mikey.
Yes. May the Force be with you and with your spirit.
What do they say in
I don't know.
I think, and also with you.
Something like that, yeah.
That's what they say to Father.
Yes.
Yeah, and also with you. So may the force be with you, Mikey.
And with your spirit.
This has been the Brinx, Hearse podcast. My name has been Ryan McNeill.
Michael Frieri.
And wish you a Heidi.
Ho!